Today we're going to talk about multiplying with zeros. We know that 3 times 10 would be 30, and that's because anything times 10 is itself with a zero. So knowing that, if I said 300 times 10, that would be 300 with a zero at the end, which would make 3,000. Okay, we're going to use that same concept to help us with some other problems. Okay, if I do something like 7 times 80, what I'm going to do is I'm still using the same concept with anything times 10 is itself with a zero, because really, if I think about it like 7 times 8 is 56, well, really, 80 is really 8 times 10. So I'm really multiplying 7 times 8, which is 56, and then multiplying that by 10. So I would just add a 0 at the end. So 7 times 80 is 560. So let's do another example. Okay, let's do 4 times 50. I know that 4 times 5 is 20, and I count how many zeros I have left over, and it's 1, so I just add that 1. So 4 times 50 is 200. Okay, let's do 90 times 80. I'm going to start with 9 times 8 is 72. And all I have to do is just count how many zeros are left over. And there's 1, 2, so I just add them at the end. And I need to make sure I put my comma in the right place. It's always starting from the end, 1, 2, 3, comma. So it'll be 7,200. Let's do another one. If I do 12 times 500, I'm going to start with 12 times 5 is 60, and then I count how many zeros I have left over, and I have 2. Now what you need to be careful of is not thinking that the 0 from the 60 is part of those zeros, because it is not. So my answer would end up being 6,000. Let's do some more. Okay, let's say I say 600 times 900. You look at that and you're thinking, whoa, that's a big problem. But it's really simple, because I'm just going to start with 6 times 9 and figure out what that is, which I know is 54. And then I'm just going to count my zeros. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm got to make sure I put that comma in the right place, or it's not right. So I start at the end, 1, 2, 3, oh, hey, 1,000. And that's all the commas. So my answer is going to be 540,000. Okay, so all we're really doing is just multiplying and then adding whatever zeros we have left over. So if I do another one, 8,000 times 400. So again, I'm going to start with that 8 times 4 and figure out what that is, and then just count my zeros. So 8 times 4, I know is 32. And now I'm going to count my zeros. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have to make sure I put those commas in the right place. So 1, 2, 3, hey, 1,000, what's up? And 1, 2, 3, oh, hey, million, what's up? So my answer is 3,200,000. You can actually use this to help you with harder problems too. So, for example, let's say I'm solving a problem, and I'm solving a word problem, and I end up having to do something like 34 times 20. I can use that same principle. I can first, instead of having to do 34 times 20, I can think, okay, well, I'm going to start with 34 times 2. So if I just figure out what 34 times 2 is, let's see, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, 34 times 2 is 68. And then I have 1 0 left over, so I just put the 0 at the end. So 34 times 20 is 680. I could do the same thing if I had something like 340 times 20. I can do the same thing. I can do 34 times 2, and we just figured out that that was 68. And then just count my zeros. I've got 2 zeros left over, so I'll just add them there. And my answer would be 6,800. So if you know these tricks to multiplying with zeros, it makes it a lot easier.